Hello everyone, this is Nora, and today I'm going to be doing a deck tech on Fire Darkness Rush. Now Rush is basically a strategy within Duel Masters where you are trying to get a bunch of creatures on the board very fast, and kill your opponent's shields, and typically win as fast as possible by summoning small creatures, clearing up blockers, um, trading favorably, just a very fast aggressive deck. Um, Now this deck isn't exactly completely finished. There's a lot of cards that I could use in the deck, or cards I could use more of, but most of it is complete. I do have most of the deck complete, so most of the cards that are important to have I have in here, and I think it does pretty well. It's a very fast deck, very aggressive. It gets in deck quick. It does what a rush deck is supposed to do. There are a lot of variations of rush. You can play like the most common is probably like Fire and Nature Rush with Torgon, Warrior Savage, and Snap and Mosquito and stuff like that. You can also play Firelight Rush with something like Lava Gear to basically tap your opponent's blockers. There's even a Water Fire variant where you run Crystal Paladin to bounce all blockers to their hand. And then there's also some other aggressive decks that don't involve fire, some other rush decks like Water Dark Rush, which has kind of been more popular lately, especially in like the new meta and how the metagame has evolved lately. Um, and I think it won a tournament a while back. But today I'm going to show you my version of Fire Darkness Rush, which is probably the strongest rush deck I could currently build with my collection. So first, let's get into the deck profile. So the first card we are running here is a playset Deadly Fighter Breakclaw. Gotta run this guy if you're running fire and you're running a rush deck. He's pretty it's pretty simple. He's 1 mana 1k, and he has to attack each turn if able, which is a drawback, but you're going to be attacking anyway. He's honestly the best 1-drop you can have in a rush deck. He's just yeah, he gets work done. One of the reasons you like running fire along with darkness is because you get access to a lot of 1-drops, meaning that you will always have a turn 1 play most of the time, which is really good. The next 1-drop we are running is a playset of Marrow Ooze the Twister. It's a 1 mana 1k blocker that says when it attacks a player, you have to destroy it after the attack. So basically what this guy's going to do is he's going to do a few things. First off, he's going to defend your bigger creatures because he's got blockers, so he's going to jump in there to kind of defend your deadly fighters, your not your pyro fighters, that's a bad example. Your other creatures that you don't want to die, that you want them to stay alive for a bit longer. And he's also going to attack to kill the opponent quickly. And honestly, he's just a good card in a deck like this because he's a 1-drop that can attack, which is what you want. Sure, he dies after the attack, but sometimes you need that one extra, attacker to get in there and kill the opponent. So Marrow Ooze the Twister is pretty damn good in this deck. The last 1 mana creature we run is a playset of Lone Tear, Shadow of Solitude. What this guy does basically is he's a 1 mana 2k, but he can't actually be alone on the battlefield. So if he at the end of turn, if he's the only creature you have to destroy him. Which is why we run a lot of 1-drops. So you can't really play this card turn 1, but for example, you can do like turn 1 Deadly Fighter, turn 2 Lone Terror, a Shadow of Solitude if you have 2 of them. Or if you don't have turn 1 play, you can wait until turn 2 and then play 2 of these guys. Or you can play 1 of these guys in a Deadly Fighter, or any other creature that costs even more than 1 mana if you have no mana for it. Just don't play him alone because then he'll get destroyed. But he has 2k and he doesn't really have any other drawbacks than that. So once he's out, you have a pretty good board presence. It doesn't matter, as long as you get in there and break shields. That's what this deck cares about. This deck is very, all your eggs in a basket. You don't really care about anything your opponent is doing. You really just, obviously that doesn't mean you have to attack all the time, but attack, aggressively, but be strategic about it. So don't just like run your creatures into death if there's no need to. But you definitely want to like just kill the opponent as quickly as possible. So that was the Lone Tear, Shadow of Solitude. Then for removal, we still on the 1-drop slot. There's a lot of other things in the deck runs that kind of remove creatures. Oh, a few more things. But the most important thing is a playset of Comet Missile. If you don't know what this card does, this is basically the removal spell of choice for rush decks. It's a 1-mana shield trigger, and it says that it destroys one of your opponent's creatures that has blocker that has 6,000 power or less. So it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple, honestly. It pretty much kills any blockers. It kills the Squeedos, it kills the Targimals, it kills the any blocker that has 6,000 or less power. Tajimal is a very big problem for a deck like this, because if it fights a fire creature, it gets plus 3,000 power, so it becomes very big. So Comet Missile is a very good answer to anything that stands in your way of breaking those shields, any kind of blockers that is being pesky or whatever, out of the way. So that's why we run 4 of those. Next, we run a playset of Snip Striker Bull Racer. It's just an efficient creature. Maybe we should be running something like what's it called? Spinning Sarah the Wretched instead. But I don't have any of those guys, so that's why I'm not running him. But Snip Strike is a pretty good substitute, and he still gets the job done because he is a free K for 2. He can only attack if your opponent has basically he can attack if your opponent has more creatures than you. So if your opponent has if you have 1 creature and the opponent has 1, that's fine. But if your opponent has 2 and you have 1, then that's bad. You can't attack. So they have to have the same amount or less than you. Otherwise, Bull Racer can't attack. But he is a pretty good, aggro card. And if you combine him with something like all your cheap 1-drops like Marrow Ooze and Lone Tear and Deadly Fighter Breaklaw, it becomes very easy to have more creatures than your opponent. So that's why we run that. Next, we are running a playset of Duel Spider. Basically, what Duel Spider does is that he's a 2-mana 1k, and when he's destroyed, you get to basically pick up one of your shields and put it into your hand. You can't use the shield trigger ability of that shield, but why is this card good, you ask? Well, it turns out that being able to have a 2-mana 1k beats deck, that if they destroy him, you get to essentially draw a card in a rush deck. It's actually really strong because it makes the opponent not want to destroy him out of fear of a Pyrofighter coming out of the shields, or a Comet Missile, or anything that you can then use to kill a blocker, or kill them or take out a shield. So he's a very, very good card. Surprisingly good. You might think he's really bad, but in a rush deck like this, he's basically like this deck's version of Aqua Hawkus. Because they're not gonna want to kill him because they don't want to give you card advantage, and they definitely don't want to leave him either, because then he's going to kill you essentially. At some point he's going to get in there. So Duel Spider is definitely a very strong card in this deck and very underrated. But it is actually one of those cards that has popped up in a lot of other rush decks, like Fire, like this one, Fire Darkness, but also in Water Darkness decks and stuff like that. So pretty strong card for a rush deck. I wouldn't say he's good in other decks, but in rush decks he can actually do quite a bit of work. Then we have 2 Kamikaze Chainsaw Warrior. He's just a 2-mana 1k with shield trigger. So when the shield is broken, you get to summon him for no cost. Now I feel like we should be running another creature than this, but this was the best option I had, the current collection. And he is actually alright, because if the opponent breaks a shield, then he basically jumps out and he can actually kill you on the next turn, kill the opponent the next turn if they aren't careful. So he's a very good shield trigger to have, and you can always charge him if you don't need him right now, or you can play him just to get some more creatures in the battle zone and stuff like that. So a very, very strong card. Very, very strong card for the deck, actually. I think it's kind of underrated. It's basically like a red Torcon, basically. And Torcon is actually played in some versions of Fire Nature Rush. So, why not play basically another Torcon in this one? Then, because I don't have any more copies, we just have a singular copy of Cook Balon. Cook Balon is a very strong card. It's just a 2-mana 1k that can't be attacked. So he's basically in there, and he's not going to get attacked until they remove him with a Crimson Hammer or Burst Shot, or anything that targets him. But he can't be attacked by creatures, so as long as they don't have a blocker, you can keep swinging, and they can't do much about it. They can't really attack him, so that's why we run Cook Ballon. I wish I had more of these guys, but I recently managed to get my hands on one along with the 4 combat missiles, so that's why I wanted to build this deck. But we need more Cook Ballons, either that or Spinning Terror. I feel like maybe we should. I feel like next version of this deck, I'm going to take out the Snip Striker for Spinning Terror maybe, and then putting in more Cook Ballons maybe. That's the next plan. Either that or get some of the um, Rikaboo, the screwdrivers, so I can actually destroy more blockers, but we'll see how it goes. For some extra removal, the deck also runs 2 copies of Volcanic Arrows, which is a shield trigger that destroys any creature with power 6000 or less, but you have to choose one of your shields and put it into your graveyard, so not like the most amazing thing in the world. I mean, it's a good card because, you know, it gets rid of anything, it gets rid of anything that threatens your board state, and pretty much anything in that early in the game isn't going to have more than 6000 anyway, so pretty much anything. Another thing about this card is that I was actually running a playset of these guys, or this card before, but I eventually decided to just play 2 because we are actually running a lot of cards in this deck that kind of destroy our own shields, like Duel Spider, Volcanic Arrows, and there's another card as well that I'm going to show you later that also destroys a shield. So I thought that 4 of them was a little bit too much, so I think 2 is a good place to put them. And it's just a little bit more shield trigger goodness for the deck that the deck might need to kind of sustain itself against some of the other rush decks, because, it can beat pretty much any slow deck with the right draw, and especially if they're going first. But I think some better rush decks like Fire Nature Rush, or maybe even something like Fire Water or Fire Light Rush could give this deck quite a bit of issues. So Volcanic Arrows does get rid of a Torcon or something that is kind of threatening the board position. Next card we are running is playset of Pyrofighter Magnus. Just a very good card, it's a very good finisher for the deck. He gets in there, he 3 mana, 3k with Speed Attacker, he can attack right away, and then in turn he returns to your hand. So he's just here to kind of get in there to make sure that you get the kill, because he's a very good way of like killing the opponent, like ending the game. And he's one of those like curve toppers that you wanna, like, for example, turn 1 Deadly Fighter, turn 2 Marus, and maybe like a like one of those, what is it called? Lone Tear, Shadow of Solitude, yeah. So like turn 1 Deadly Fighter, turn 2 Lone Tear, and match Marus, turn 3 Firefighter. That's like 3 or 4 shields in the first 3 turns, which is kind of devastating. There's a lot of ways you can get in the red zone and really blitz attack, swift attack your opponent to death. So Pyrofighter really is one of the best speed attackers for a deck like this, and he's even played in like aggro decks because he functions as a very good way of killing the opponent, and also functions as a very good way of removing creatures that are troublesome for you. Next we have another speed attacker. We have 3 Rikaboo the Dismantler. It's possible that 2 is enough, but I like the 3 just to give you a little bit more of a punch, so you can actually get in there. He's just a 3 mana 1k with speed attacker, so pretty standard card. Nothing really special about him other than he's basically Pyrofighter, but he's smaller and he doesn't bounce to your hand in a turn, so he gets to stay. Pretty good card. I really like the artwork on him. Not as much as the artwork on Pyrofighter, but I still like the art. So that's the last creature of the deck, and then the final card we are running is one of the reasons you want to play Fire Darkness Rush. It is a Snake Attack. Running a playset of that as well to kind of round off. This is your big finisher. This is if you have everything else is not working for you and you're not killing the opponent. This is your way of breaking all the shields in one turn if you have enough creatures, basically. This card, what it does is it's 4 mana, and it gives all your creatures double ray on end of turn, but you have to put one of your shields in the graveyard. So we have a total of 10 cards actually. It's like 1/4 of the deck that remove shields. So we got Snake Attack, Volcanic Arrows, and Duel Spider. So those all remove shields. Either put them into your hand or just destroying them outright and put them in the graveyard. So that's why I didn't want to run more of the Volcanic Arrows, because I didn't want to oversaturate the deck with self-killing effects that kill their own shields. But I think this is a good number because you're not going to draw all the cards all the time. You're not going to play every single one of these. You know, maybe you're going to play like 2 of them in a game, or maybe 3 at most. So it's unlikely that this is going to be a problem. But you're pretty much playing a sneak attack in mana sometimes in the beginning if you have 2 of them in the hand, for example, or if you just have in turn 1 because it's rare that you actually need it until you really want to draw this card like when you need it, like a turn before you need it or something. You can save it, but mainly it is one of those like big finishers that helps the deck get there in some situations where it's hard. Like there's some situations where the opponent gets so much control over the board that you aren't able to break shields, and that's when sneak attack really gets in there and just kills the opponent. And that is the deck. 40 cards in total, and just a very fun deck to play. It's a lot of fun, intricate plays in a rush deck like this, and I like it because the games go very fast usually. Because either you kill the aggro deck, or you kill the control deck, or you just get out tempoed and they kill all your things with like they play like Aqua Surf and they ruin your whole day, or they play like a Searing Wave or like a Burst Shot and kill all your creatures. But in general, Rush deck's always fun to play, and I think this is a very good budget-friendly deck. Fire Darkness Rush is very easy to build, even if you don't have all the best pieces for it. You can still build a pretty good version of it, as long as you have a few 1-drops, maybe some Volcanic Arrows from Common Whistles, Dual Spider, even something like Snake Attack, which is a pretty easy card to come by. You can actually build a very, very good Fire Darkness deck that gets into redstone very quick. I recommend a deck like this for beginners of the game, or someone who doesn't have a big collection to build something like this, because it's a very good way of kind of getting into the game and kind of testing the waters and seeing what people in your meta are playing, if there's anyone playing that game anymore. But you get what I'm saying. So yeah, that has been it for this deck profile, and I will see you guys in the next one. This is Norakat signing off for now.